When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle. Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish,
the podcast that's young on paper, but has an old soul inside of it. And his name is Bradford.
Oh, no. Well, at least it's not
Oh,
Twittery.
yeah. Oh, yes. It's a good thing for all of us.
Oh, God. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
Bradford, knock it off.
Bradford, thank you for coming.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today
We're going to talk about partners.
I'm going to hug you so hard.
What?
You're going to break up with me.
I'm gonna knee you so hard in the nuts you're gonna fall in love with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
I know the way to your heart is through your nutsack. That's how I got Bradford into bed.
Oh, God. But first.
Well,
B-U-T-T first.
First, the way Tina Belcher lives her life. A couple things.
A correction. I mean,
Update.
We're a correction update. An update correction. Because then it's like, are we supposed to play the news theme song first and then do updates?
No, you do this now.
God damn it. We've done it both ways, Kyle. I guarantee we've done it both ways.
No. You're not updating a news story. We said something during a news story that we want to let you know more info on.
Fine. We were talking about donating blood, and we were talking about them excluding people that are on PrEP or PEP, actually, from donating blood, and why. And then wondering, is that because that does something to HIV tests?
Well, you said for at least testing the blood then that it affects the tests, which then it was like, oh, shit, my tests. But I go in to get tested, and Yeah,
so I'm reading from Gary Blick, MD, who is the Chief Medical Officer of Healthcare Advocates International. And this is on thebody.com, which is an HIV/AIDS resource page. And just answering the question, can PEP or PrEP delay antibody test results for HIV? Here we go. The bottom line with both PEP and PrEP is that they are designed to stop HIV from getting inside a person's CD4 cells and beginning to replicate. If a person is exposed to HIV, PEP and PrEP can prevent an HIV infection from taking place, which means that no matter what type of HIV test you take or when you take it, it will come back negative because PEP or PrEP has succeeded in stopping you from becoming HIV positive. The real question is, if for some reason PEP or PrEP doesn't succeed, will it take longer for an HIV test to come back positive because HIV medications are already present inside a person's body? The answer is yes. Potentially, but it's not likely. Quote, although PEP and PrEP are very effective if someone has already acquired HIV before starting on PrEP or isn't taking PrEP as directed or started PEP too late to prevent infection, the presence of antiretrovirals can have an impact on the accuracy of HIV testing. That's from Matthew Hodson, who is the executive director of NAM, which is a UK-based charity that provides HIV information to the public. People on PEP or PrEP may have a delayed antibody response, which would extend the window period for an antibody test. But the key word here is may. As in, although PEP or PrEP may delay an HIV antibody test, it is not guaranteed to do so. PEP and PrEP typically do not delay the time period when it's optimal to get tested for HIV, but it can in some circumstances. Does that answer your question or clarify it?
Yeah. It's like you're going down multiple layers of unlikelihood. It's unlikely if you're taking it as directed that this would even come up. So if you're it's 99% effective or whatever, if you take it correctly, some depending on what you take, maybe 90%, 95%, whatever, but there's other percentages often if you use it incorrectly or something but if you're in one of those weird cases, you may not know as immediately as I would think, which is on my, every 3-month test.
And if it helps you, there are three main types of antibody tests. There's of HIV tests. Nucleic acid test, and that tells you if you've been infected within 10 to 33 days after exposure. That's the window. Antigen antibody combo test, that is 18 to 45 days, and an antibody test, which is 23 to 90 days. And I guess in some circumstances, PEP or PrEP can put you towards the longer part of those windows that I just mentioned. So that's it's already variable, but something about PEP and PrEP can push you towards the longer ranges of those windows for these tests to be accurate.
So what I'm going to take away is like the longest time frame you said was 90 days. So when I have, I go every 3 months. So when I have 2 and it's 3 months apart and they're both negative, that's my confirmation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's why it's quarterly too. Like the CDC recommends quarterly, and I think that the manufacturer of most PrEP
requires
I have
that
to
have an appointment, and
but like your mileage may vary in your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
International folks.
Yeah. I think that's helpful. That was like just a weird specific thing that came up and sounded a little scary at first.
Yeah. Just take your PrEP before you take it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take it,
oh, okay,
take it.
I got there with you. Together, because we're partners in this. I also want to mention we collaborated with Queers in Your Ears. You can go, they are a podcast. You can go to their podcast, Queers in Your Ears, and check out our appearance on there. Or if you are a Patreon subscriber, we just had a fun random, haven't done that before, just had them on our Patreon as a bonus segment. So go check them out. I think we had some fun conversations, like them a lot. So
they're a goddamn adorable.
Yeah. So go check that out. Another thing I've mentioned mostly on the Patreon that I've been like freelancing, working on another podcast. The episode that I worked on, one of the episodes I worked on is now out. So the podcast is called Leave Looking Up. And my episode is with Claire Wasserman. And while she does not discuss her like identity or whatever, she's married to a woman. So I don't know how she defines herself, but she's, part of the team. And yeah, go take a listen to that. It's totally different than ours. It's an interview podcast, but they don't say fuck ever. So
yeah. And then email them and say, whoever did your editing was fucking amazing.
Yes, sure. Yeah. You don't. That's not. Lastly, we did a survey. Thank you so much to everyone who filled it out, and we said we'd pick
even the mean ones.
Even the mean. There was few and far between, but they were there. And you know what? Your meanness was heard. We heard you. We feel you. But the winners of the $50 Gay Pride Apparel gift card are Chris Moyle. I have to read names twice in this episode. Frederick Hilborn and Marina Sprague, probably. So thank you so much to everyone who did that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, let us know what you buy.
Yeah.
Now the news.
Shut your mouth hole. It's time for your ear holes. News.
News the first. Sort of an unsung hero of the gay community.
Thank you so much, Mike. I've been waiting for someone to recognize.
Has died.
Okay.
Charles Silverstein, who is one of the authors of The Joy of Gay Sex, has died at the age of 87. He is most famous for making the presentation before the APA in 1973 that led to the removal of homosexuality from the DSM.
Damn.
Yeah. And then was also a co-author of the landmark book, The Joy of Gay Sex.
So he's talking about gay sex before it was like cool to talk about gay sex.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Jeffrey Masters, friend of the show, Jeffrey Masters, who was on our show way back in season 1, did a really awesome interview with him on LGBTQ&A just last year. So it's fairly fresh. But in that, Dr. Silverstein says, quote, "The first time I had sex with a guy was a big learning experience. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Fortunately, he did." Yeah, just like one of those people that I don't know that I'd ever heard of him before. Like I knew of that book, and I knew that we were removed from the DSM as like a mental illness, but I didn't know that there was like, this person has not been famous. He's just been working hard for us, and so I just wanted to make some space for him because he's super important, and now he's dead.
And we need more people working on educating people on gay sex and not just HIV/AIDS. That's like, there's so much more that goes into it. Yeah, no one, like, you're not going to learn things you need to learn in school, and you're certainly not going to learn the joy of sex, how to do it, and so you have to learn from porn, which that's not great.
Yeah.
Or from your partner. So it's, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. News the second. So this is really interesting because normally we think of the United States as being the one that is like has issues, and we do, but we're not the only ones that have issues. So a gay man going by Aziz M, because doesn't want his full name to be used, is suing the government of Canada, and he's challenging the constitutionality of a policy that restricts gay and bisexual men from donating sperm. He said, quote, "It's like you're undesirable because of your gayness as a donor. It feels like such an arbitrary rule." Now, so Health Canada prohibits gay and bisexual men from donating sperm to a sperm bank unless, just like with blood, they've been abstinent for 3 months or are donating to someone they know who signs a waiver. And
my guess is they don't have the same requirements as straight people.
Well, it's so... The rule is, have you banged another dude in the last 3 months?
Right.
But then the real question is, what's the reason for the policy? Is it because you don't want to accidentally have an icky gay dude's baby?
Yeah.
And is that something that we have to disclose to people, that like you have tainted gay sperm, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with it? It's just it's super interesting. And he's from Toronto. Says that the policy makes him feel like a second-class citizen, and even somebody who is in a long-term monogamous relationship, if you're sexually active and you are gay or bi, then you can't donate, and that is weird and wrong, especially when like there are straight dudes that are total fucking sluts who like that's they get to go for it. And then, as I mentioned, so even though this is a new suit that's happening and we'll continue to follow it. Obviously, Canada isn't the only place that has issues like that. I also just this week I'm reading about in the United States there are people. There's a guy named Trevon Roach Carter who's 26 who recently was rejected from the sperm bank of California because he was gay, and the FDA says that if you are a man who has had sex with men anytime within the past 5 years, you cannot donate. You cannot donate sperm anonymously. And his point is that's awfully interesting because he's black, and there is apparently a black sperm shortage. So he said, quote, "that being a donor is essential to me as a gay black man because I feel like people ought to have the right to have families that look like me." Absolutely true. And but apparently black sperm donors make up less than 2% of sperm donors, and there's like a huge shortage of it. And the last thing that we should be doing is discriminating against people who are gay that want to donate when we need it.
Yeah, 5 years. Jesus, that's... Man, don't even think about getting a little drunk in college and having some fun. Like that shit's on your permanent record now.
I mean, I don't remember who I banged 5 months ago, much less 5 years.
It might be a different thing, but yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting, especially when you start looking at these policies, the United States, Canada, wherever, that like they don't really hold up under scrutiny, and it does just come down to you don't want to accidentally have a gay kid because you had gay sperm, and that's not how it fucking works.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
News the last?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking a lot off and on about like lesbian bars are disappearing. There's the Lesbian Bar Project that is, tracking the rapid decline. But there's a new lesbian bar in Los Angeles that's opening. It's called Ruby Fruit. And some people are sad because the place used to be a restaurant called Ezette, Esszett, in the Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles. The restaurant specialized in natural wines and unusual cuisine.
Not anymore. It specializes in getting puss and that short haircuts.
Yep. No, it's just clams. No,
only thing on the menu.
They closed last week, according to the LA Times, but already has this lesbian bar that's going to open up in that space. So Mara Herbkersman, who
thank you. I'm so glad that you had to say some names.
Yeah,
and they weren't home runs. That makes me so happy.
Has been the general manager of Ezette for a while, and her colleague Emily Bilagas. They are going to open Ruby Fruit, a lesbian bar, in that space in just a couple of weeks. It's, according to them anyway, LA's first permanent lesbian bar since the Oxwood Inn closed in 2017.
Wow. LA, like, it constantly surprises me, even though we've talked about it enough that it shouldn't anymore. Like, fucking LA, are you serious?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And they're also sort of reasonably sure that it's going to be successful, or they have data that would support the supposition that they're going to be successful there, because there are apparently pop-up establishments and lesbian party nights all over LA, just not a permanent fixture. And one of these pop-up nights that happen pretty regularly at Ezette, they used to have lesbian night called Lezette, and that has been well attended, and so it's already sort of established as a queer a space for queer women. So quote, we know what we're stepping into. We're taking over a very beloved space, and we're very grateful to the old owners. We know that they're big shoes to fill. We're also very aware of the history of the lesbian bar as a concept, honoring the lineage of the people who have come before us.
That's perfect.
The name is an homage to Rita Mae Brown's famed 1973 lesbian novel Ruby Fruit Jungle.
Yeah. Everyone go to Ruby Tuesdays.
Go to
As before you go out to the
Ruby Fruit. Yeah.
To Ruby Fruit.
Ruby
Get
Tuesdays.
a nice full tummy.
Yeah.
Have some good food at a cheap price. They're not sponsoring us. I just support them.
And then go to Ruby Fruit.
I don't know what Ruby Tuesday is.
Oh my God. That's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of people I want in my tummy, thank you to following Patreon members.
Nom.
Nom. Thank you to Barrett Honeycutt. So many double letters in your name, Barrett Honeycutt. And James Peach. Nope, James Keach. We appreciate you and your money.
That beach is giant.
That Keach is giant. So join our Patreon for bonus episodes, content, merch discounts, pick
Dick
another
pics.
episode topic. Nope, they won't get that at all unless you send it to us through Patreon, which please don't do that at all. You can see all the benefits at patreon.com/Gayish podcast. There are monthly and annual options available depending on how you want to support us.
Do it.
And our recent Patreon segment with Queers in Your Ears is available there to listen to right now if you want to at patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
It's so good.
So good.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to talk about partners?
Let's talk about partners.
Great.
We're going to talk about the word is has a lot of meanings, has a lot of uses by a lot of different people. So I'm will be excited to get both yours, and we're going to have guests on. They are the Two Bad Tourists. Their names are Austin and David. They're going to be on, and we as a group are going to kind of break down the word, talk about if we like it, dislike it, how we feel about it, and if we use it.
I'm going to try to get them to bang me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not really. But I mean, I would.
Okay.
Absolutely would.
So just heads up when they listen to this later. Isn't that weird? Like they may listen to that though and hear that.
They're both hot. They could fuck me if they want to. They can hear that. That's fine.
That's a weird thing to say, Mike.
Why?
For the obvious reasons.
What?
You can't just walk around telling people you could fuck me if you want.
Why
That's
not?
weird.
Why
That's
not?
weird.
It's not weird.
Yes, it is.
It's magical.
It's weird. It's a weird thing. Okay.
If somebody said that to you, you wouldn't find it like
I'm not
flattering.
talking about. It's still a weird thing to say. Okay. So we're going to talk about the word partner. Mike.
I don't do that at Costco.
No, you do it indirectly on a podcast that you think they may listen to later instead of directly. We're going to talk about the word partners. Yeah. And Mike, my partner, and I are going through a tough time right now. So we'll see if we can smooth over the discourse with them.
We're very, very different people, and I think that's why it works.
I know. You're always wrong. I'm always right. It's a fun dynamic.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you want to...
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be with Austin and David from the Two Bad Tourists.
Which, if you want to rail Mike, apparently hit him up. And then on our Patreon segment, you and I are going to... as really well detailed planned out, you and I are going to talk. We'll talk to them mostly about their relationship, which they have an interesting journey to share with us. But then we'll talk about us and our partnership and how that came about and how it is today.
Yeah.
And if we'll make it through these current storms.
Do you want to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break. God, you're the worst.
You're so... it is weird. It is weird. It is a weird thing. I don't know why you think it's It's not that you said it, it's that you don't think it's a weird thing to say. I would be fine if you just said, I agree. It's
something every partner wants to hear. Calm down.
No, I refuse.
Break.
We weren't still in it. Were we still in it?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
I wanted to, and we're back.
And we're back.
We're here with the two bad tourists, Austin and David. They host the Queer Travel Chat podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
guys, for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so
Wait, hold on. You're in
What?
Spain? You just said you're in Spain?
We are in Spain. Madrid is home for 10 years, if you can believe it. We lived here this April will be 10 years.
Okay, is that the best entry point for Spain? Shut up! They're going to be my travel agents now. If I'm going to go to Spain for the first time,
you're asking where to enter Spain?
if I'm going to go to Spain and hang out and like my first foray into the country, what should my destination be? Is it Madrid, or would you go to Barcelona, or would you go to, I don't know?
I mean, the way I look at it, Barcelona is definitely like probably more popular than Madrid. Barcelona is cool. It's cosmopolitan. It has the beach. Madrid is a little bit more like I guess local and more like Spanish culture, whereas like Barcelona has kind of its own Catalan culture. So it sort of depends on what you want. Barcelona has more architecture. Long story short, they're both big cities and popular, and there's lots of stuff to do.
You can't go wrong
Yeah.
either way,
No.
but we're biased, obviously, because we love Madrid.
Yeah. If I were to say like it's your first trip to Spain, you have like a good week to 10 days, fly in, do a couple days in Madrid, a couple days in Barcelona, then a few days in the south of Andalusia. That would probably be like enough. And, do like 2-3 days in each. And then you could get a good overview of the country.
Where would I have the highest chance of being bitten by a go-go boy? Because that's like my 2022 travel highlight.
That would definitely be Madrid. Yeah, absolutely.
Madrid.
Yeah. So
It's 1,000%
Madrid's the capital city, and it's like twice the size of Barcelona. So it has twice as many gay things and twice as many go-go boys that will potentially bite you. So
Excellent.
Yeah, how gay friendly it is exactly one of the main reasons we moved here, is because it was just so gay friendly. Of course, they have their gay neighborhood Chueca, but the whole like city center is all super gay friendly. Gays are everywhere, and so we loved that. It was like very much in a safe little gay bubble.
We came here. So we actually came here. The way that we started our blog was like in 2012, and we had gone like backpacking style. We were like traveling the world for like a year, doing a around the world trip. Madrid is one of our stops, and we came during Pride. And Madrid actually has the largest Pride in Europe, and it's probably like the second largest in the world. So we were just like overwhelmed by like the gayness that was in the streets, and just like how friendly and open it was. And even after the parades and everything were over, like people were just still being like affectionate with each other, like in all parts of the city, not just in the gay neighborhood. So that's how we got kind of attached to it and stayed.
And how does that mix with the religion, though? That like Spain is pretty religious too, right?
Well, it's funny. I always describe you might have a different opinion, but I always describe Spain as the most religious country that's not religious.
I think that's perfect.
So they're culturally religious, but in practice, most people, especially young people, are not religious.
Okay, we're gonna get back to your worldwide trip and travels, but let's start off with the word partners, because that is a word that, like, to me, there is a lot of meaning and opinions and use in that word. And I wanted to start off seeing, actually, Mike, you seem to have, before we started, have some opinions on the word partners. How do you feel about the word partners?
It's just ambiguous. I just want it to mean something, because like I work for a company that's based in San Francisco. We're on the left coast here, and I feel like there are lots and lots of straight people, some of whom seem pretty gay when you meet them. I'm talking about cute dudes who then talk about their partner, and you don't know, okay, what kind of partner are we talking about? Is this a business partner? Are you straight and you are calling your lady friend your partner? Are you gay and your partners because you're more than boyfriends but you're not married yet? I don't know. It just the word seems almost ambiguous enough to not be useful.
Okay, I'm gonna do the straw poll. So, Mike,
Great.
you don't seem to not like the word.
Eh.
Your reaction to the word is eh. That's what you want to go down on record as.
I'm ambivalent.
Okay. It's solid eh. Cool. Austin, how do you feel about the word partners?
I definitely have mixed reactions to it. I was just thinking, like, does this word come from the original use of like life partner? When I feel like in maybe like the 80s or 90s, people used it. Anyways,
that makes sense to me. That feels
but then we
like
just like took off the word life and it transformed, and then eventually straight people started using it too, right? But
life partner makes me cringe.
Yeah. So I think so. At least
Same.
it's gotten better over the years. But
yeah,
my mixed feelings are that like I feel like in a romantic relationship, which David and I of course don't have anymore, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. But I feel like there's not the connotation to the word partner doesn't have like emotion tied to it, in my opinion. So like in a sense, like if you're in a romantic relationship and then you call someone your partner, it's like, oh, they're just your partner. Like that's it. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of love in it, but at the same time, like I spent many years using it because it's a word you can use without like really saying you're gay, right? Like instead of saying my husband, like, oh, you're fucking gay because you're a dude, you can just say partner, and because it's ambiguous, you can kind of like
want to like fly under the radar.
Exactly. So I have mixed reactions.
It's interesting. Also mixed feelings, and that's interesting about the amount of feeling that you prescribe to the word. Is that compared to words like husband or boyfriend?
Yeah, I feel like husband, boyfriend, they have a connotation of love, right? Whereas partner to me doesn't have this like emotional connotation to it.
Interesting. David?
I am a pro the word partner. I like it. I think it is just another way that it just gives us more words to describe the various types of relationships that we have. And I think that relationships are getting like more complex and we're having more options. And I think that's a good thing instead of just like, you meet someone, you have your boyfriend or girlfriend, then your husband or wife, and then that's that. We're taught that there's only one way to have a relationship. And of course, in my opinion, there's infinite ways to have a relationship. So more words that you can use to describe that. And it's optional. Like no one's telling you have to use the word partner. So if you're like, I don't like that doesn't describe me, then don't use it. But if you do like it and it does describe your relationship, then I think it's a perfect word.
I feel like my catch, like I get caught up with it because it's also used for things that are not relationships, right? It's for like business partner, right? So its uses can be for romantic relationships or that have nothing to do with like, love relationships. But this reminds me of the word partner in Spanish is pareja. And I like that word because it's only used to mean the word partner, but in romantic relationship settings. You would never use pareja to describe a business partner. So in Spanish, I like the word because it can't be confused with anything and it's not ambiguous.
But on that note, we do that all the time, though, with other words. Like your girlfriend can be your romantic girlfriend or your friend that's a girl. Or like in Spanish, again, tío is like your uncle or it's like dude or bro. So it's like we do that already all the time. So I see what you're saying,
boyfriend. But boyfriend is not.
No,
like,
boyfriend, we
no
don't do
dude
that.
is out there like was hanging out with my boyfriends watching the game.
It's your guy friend. Your guy friend.
It's your. My theory is that he's straight because he uses the word buddy. My buddy, that's straight. Only straight people say buddy. No gay dude is like, I'm going to go hang out with my buddies or my bros. I'm going to hang out with my bros.
Bro, what's up, bro?
That guy he's a whole nother thing that I won't get into, but
I disagree.
Yeah, because you were in a frat and you're probably more used to people saying the word buddy.
The phrase "a buddy of mine" rolls off of my tongue pretty easily.
That's very straight.
Great.
I think that's straight.
That's the most hateful thing you've ever said to me,
Kyle. Good. That opinion I will die for. It's interesting. I agree that I think more words is better, and it's like the part that I both agree and disagree with, like the ambiguity of do you mean business or relationship? I dislike that ambiguity. But Mike, you were saying like you don't like the ambiguity of meaning gay, and that's like I feel like you like because you just want to know the information so often. It's like but what does this person want to tell you? And they're allowed to not want to disclose information or want to intentionally keep it like especially if they're, I don't know, in the closet, not sure how people will react, don't want to get into this right here with you. If that feels like the best word, it's like, yeah, but they also don't owe you a description of if they're gay and what their relationship is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like the word partner, and I think straight people are adopting it too, especially because if they don't want to get married or they've been together for a long time, like if they're thinking, this word boyfriend, girlfriend sounds young. It sounds like what young people are using to describe their relationships. And maybe, I'm 45 and I've been with my partner for 20 years, but we're not going to get married because we don't want to get married. So saying my boyfriend, girlfriend just doesn't really describe what it is. So when it's clear that it's your relationship and you use the word partner, I think it gives people
That's
a
true.
better word. And I know that my sister does the same. She refers to her partner. They've been together for, I don't know, roughly 10 years. They don't want to get married. So she'll just go in and out of husband or partner, and maybe even sometimes boyfriend. I think it depends on who she's talking to in that moment. And I think that's fair that she gets to do that.
It's like the word boyfriend or girlfriend is a temporary term on the way to marriage or breakup.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
There's
So,
the
like-
one track when you have to.
In that context, the word partner does imply some sort of commitment, even if it's not like a legal or an
I
official
think people
one.
are using it that way.
Yeah, you're not. It's not merely your boyfriend or girlfriend, which has this like frivolous connotation to it, but it's like this is a solid thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why, Austin, you mentioned about the part of the feelings. I think when people started using partner, I thought that had more feeling in it, because to me, girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife, those sounded like legal designations almost. Like it's gotten to the point where it's like, I'm telling it's one of those two, because of we had a wedding and we signed a contract, and so this is my wife or his partner. Like that started thinking like, it was like, oh, we have come together, we have joined together, and we are partners. Like that to me, I don't know, it just made me rethink like, oh, like this is the I don't know, this how you feel about your relationship or this person. So to me, it's interesting. It has more feeling than some of the other words.
That's an interesting take. Well, it's definitely better than life partner. Let's all agree on that.
Did that used to be a gay thing? I feel like
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
gays
That was
used
like
to use that.
that was
So-
like in the 80s, 90s kind of term, I think, right?
Or lover also.
Lover.
Gets me
Oh
to
God,
cringe.
lover.
And
You do
Lover.
see that, like, yes, in older things, yes, they would describe their relationships as their lover. That's just I see that all the time. Mike, you have icky face. I ate a lemon face.
I hate that word for that. I don't know.
Lover.
Well, we have a newly single friend here who is like he doesn't want to be in any more committed relationships, and he's like, I just want to have various lovers. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but every time
Well,
you say lover, I
But that's
cringe.
kind of like just how we're saying, like you move on from boyfriend, girlfriend to partner. You move on from hookup to lover, right? Because
Oh.
hookup is like has less.
I was just
like,
thinking it's a classy version of slut.
It is.
That's what I thought. I was like, do you want to fuck a bunch? Like,
Let's just call a hoe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why
His
don't
name
you-
is Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Dick.
Oh my God, I've never thought about it. We should just call him Dick.
Next time, he'll appreciate it.
Well, so speaking of Dick, you guys, you guys,
Love your transitions.
you guys were together in a sexual romantic way back in the day. Did you ever reach like partner status? Did you ever use that word for yourselves? Tell us a little bit about your story.
So we met in 2006. Actually, we were in a fraternity also, but we were in a gay
No way.
fraternity. Yeah. So we were in a gay fraternity, which is where we actually met, is Arizona State. And
Oh,
we
that's a
didn't
party.
so-
Okay, I'm gonna stop you at gay fraternity. Whatever you had planned to talk about, go ahead and forget that
I
immediately.
almost
episode
didn't want
is
to
gonna
mention it.
It's not what you would think.
That's
It's
what I was
really
gonna
not.
ask.
There's
Like,
way less like sex and hookup. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for us.
But is
Yeah,
yeah, you say as you describe how you started your relationship.
I mean,
is
a
there
little bit.
any? Is there some level of like kind of interfraternity like hooking up and stuff?
I mean, definitely it happens like from time to time, but it's like absolutely not the focus. And Mike, you were in a fraternity, so you would kind of know this process. Like when you join a fraternity, it's called rushing, and like as part of the gay fraternity, it's very explicit in the rules for this 8 or 12 week period that you're absolutely not to have any sort of like, you're not supposed to fraternize with your other pledge brothers. You're not supposed to hook up with any of the other people in the fraternity.
There are occasionally rule breaks, of
Right.
course, but it's
but you'll
highly
get kicked
frowned
out
upon,
if
yeah.
that's if someone finds
That's
out,
also
because
true, yes.
because the organization that we were part of like really wanted to make it like the fraternity is for the scholarship and the community. It's not about hooking up, right? Because there's so many other places you can go and hook up.
And we really do refer to each other as our brothers or our siblings,
Hot.
and that is, it really does. I say that because we have a trans member as well, so for our trans siblings as well. Anyway, you do become like, it's like family, so you don't want to hook up with them because you actually like you go through this process. So sometimes yes, romances happen or hookups happen, but it's really not maybe like the porn that you
yeah,
might watch.
it's not as much as you want it to be and what you're like playing in your
It's
head.
better in the porn.
And in fact, like David and I didn't even start dating until 6 months after we had met and we had been in the fraternity
followed
for
the
a while.
rules.
Yeah, we followed the rules.
That does speak to like both, there's part of me that dreams that you have pillow fights in your underwear for Reelsingtons at the frat, or but that's just like our assumption. Anytime you do say you have the word gay describe anything, you just assume everyone's having sex.
Yeah.
And that's
Except
not
for
the case.
gay retirement home. Or maybe
I mean,
it
it's
does
not
do you still?
happening, but
Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is happening. Maybe they're having sex there too.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had an episode on that?
Just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh.
but we didn't get like really it was a polite conversation, so we didn't get to
that's
be like,
unfortunate.
and where do you put it specifically? Like, or like, but that'll be we'll have another episode where we can get slutty on with
Gayish
the
after
rainbow
dark.
elders. Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so we can that is all my fault. We can go back to
Oh yeah,
you started
sorry.
dating
Yeah,
then.
and you totally like changed the topic to gay fraternity. Okay,
No,
so
the episode topic just changed. The
Perfect.
description just
Gay
changed.
fraternity.
Gay fraternities.
Sorry, let's go back to
too
the
late
partner
now.
thing. Okay,
Yes.
so we met in the gay fraternity. We were boyfriends for 4 years, or as your friend Carly's mom liked to call us, your friend. Do you remember when she was just like, she just
no.
like, multiple. She just continued to like introduce me as like his friend, and I was like, I'm not his friend, I'm his boyfriend. She was the sweetest thing, but she just like
Your
couldn't-
grandma did the same to me as well.
Yeah. Anyways, so 4 years as boyfriends, I think 4, and then we got married in 2010.
Yes.
More or less. So, and then I guess we were married for about 8 years. So together for 12.
So we were, it was, our labels were always like boyfriend and then husband and then
husband.
ex-husband.
Yeah.
We never really used the word partner.
I definitely used partner like in straight scenarios where it was awkward. Like at work, I tended to use the word partner
I
more than
didn't know
husband.
that.
Mhm.
To not come out?
No, I definitely would come out. It's just the word husband, as I said earlier, makes me seem way more gay. And the word partner, even though they like kind of know you're gay, it's like without the flag, right?
I take offense to this.
But you're already divorced, so you can't get more divorced.
Well, so we're going to go.
Well, in
deeper
fact, we're
into
not
this.
divorced.
No,
We'll get back to
technically.
that in a second.
Yeah, well, and
Wait,
on this topic
what?
of labeling our relationship, so we got married in 2010 in Arizona. So same-sex marriage was legalized in 2015, I think, in the U.S. So, when we got married, we had a wedding. Everyone came. We put the rings on the finger. And from that day on, it didn't matter to me or to us what the law was. We were husbands, and we used that word because, we deserved it and we wanted to. So the same thing for like when we broke up about 5 years ago.
I think it was 4 years ago.
4
years ago this year.
4 years ago.
2018.
So we're still legally married. It's on the to-do list. But I mean, we refer to each other as ex-husbands because for me, the law is never how I define my relationship. Like these are all technicalities.
But then anytime he says ex-husband, I always correct him. Like, actually, we're still married.
But it's a technicality. We are ex-husbands because that's the relationship status.
Well, we are ex-husbands, but we're still married.
But we are still married.
You guys are a delightful train wreck. I just want you to know this. Like, it's magical.
Listen, we have to. It's also visa purposes.
This is exactly what I was just going to ask you. If you're still utilizing any of the legal benefits of being married, because there are lots of them.
Exactly. So in fact, when we moved to Spain, because we hadn't been legally married in the U.S. because it wasn't legal at the time, obviously, we got married in Spain specifically for visa reasons. Because David had a visa for teaching English. He got a job here. But because I wasn't legally, contracted to him by any sort of state, I couldn't stay. But in order to get a visa, I would just have to get married. So we got married
in 2012.
Yeah, so we got married here in Spain in 2014 before it was legal in the U.S. So that marriage in Spain, the legal one, was purely for visa reasons.
Although we were a couple.
We were a couple. We were already married in our eyes, but that was just like signing the legal papers so that I could get my visa. And then honestly, the reason why we didn't get divorced right away was because of visa reasons as well, because we were on what they called temporary residency, and we had to wait until I was a permanent resident so I could get disassociated with him. Now I'm permanent, so I can be here on my own without being married, but we just haven't gone through the
it's also expensive
effort.
in Spain to go through the process.
Does this ever come up, like, if you're trying to date someone? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, yeah.
When you're trying to date someone else, do you have to be
We
like,
got stories.
Yeah.
do you have to be like, okay, here's the deal. Technically, I'm married, but it's not a thing. It's fine.
Guess I can tell this.
Honestly,
My
I'm
story.
kind of yeah, you tell your story, but I'm the kind of person where I just like show all my cards like right up front, and if someone has a problem, like I don't give a fuck. Like, bye, I don't need to talk to you.
But okay, wait, Austin, you just said that when you were at work that you would use the word partner as a like,
That's
so you
true.
weren't.
But that's like living in like a straight world. That was also like 10, 15 years ago. Living in a straight world and like and I worked as an engineer, so it was like this very like heteronormative place. I'm talking about like if I have a boyfriend now, and I've had a boyfriend for 3.5 years. I haven't had that many boyfriends after David, actually. But yeah, I guess if I was ever dating someone, I just very clearly make them aware that David is in my life, and regardless of the scenario, like whether we're legally married or not, like he's still my best friend. So if you have a problem with that, like, sorry.
Okay, but also, isn't your boyfriend married?
Yes, my boyfriend's still married. My boyfriend still lives with his ex-husband, but
They're still legally married.
Oh, that's perfect. You're like, we get each other.
And he lives in totally, yeah.
Do you guys live together?
No, we live in the same neighborhood,
Yeah.
but we don't live together.
No, and my
Okay,
boyfriend
okay.
actually lives in Barcelona. I'm in Madrid, and we've had a long distance relationship for 3.5 years. But he will be moving here like in the coming months.
Yeah,
But David has
I met. I'm newly single, but I met my last boyfriend about 3 years ago, and I told him, I'm still legally married, just so you know.
And how did you meet him?
And
Exactly.
out in the club. And he was like, oh, no problem. I am too. And I was like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, who's your spouse?
Legal partner.
And it was his sister because
Is not was is
It's his
still
sister.
is.
Because they are from Colombia, and so they were immigrating here to Spain. So for him to move here, his aunt, I think, came here first. She adopted him so that he got legal status when he moved here because he was 15. And then 10 years later, they tried to get his sister over. So they went to some small town in Colombia where I guess they don't keep track of who is family, and got legally married. And then that allowed her to move here. So I was like, okay, your story is way weirder than my story. So I think we're good. So both of us were like, yeah, we get it. Marriage is like a legal contract to try to advance yourself in life. Like,
He married his sister?
Yeah, so just to summarize, the Cliff's Notes version is my ex-husband is my best friend, and my boyfriend still lives with his ex-husband, and David's ex-boyfriend is married to his sister that he just broke up.
so talking about the word
All
partners,
clear as mud,
I'm
right?
just like, you know what? Partners is great. And I think we need more words to describe relationships.
Well, this very much reminds me of like the true historical thing that happened of people, gay men would legally adopt their boyfriend, partner, person, so that there was a legal relationship there for things like passing down property or for insurance purposes. Like that was like the only legal way that we had to solidify
That's interesting.
a relationship in like a financial legal sense, and like you use the system, if
That's
there's
that's what I didn't realize we were getting into. Like laws, the laws are unjust. So like using them to our advantage in the way we want is like, there's no way we're going to fix all the laws. Like, we should continue working on it, but there's no way we're going to fix it. So like, I like the idea of what's on paper is for legal, for technicalities, for doing things versus like what's on paper does not define what our relationship is, and we get to define that however we want.
For a few years, we joked about having a 6-way divorce because then it was we could all split the costs. But I think David's out because he just broke up with his
It's the least exciting 6-way that.
So it'll just be a 4-way divorce at this point.
Okay.
Just a 4-way.
Just a 4-way.
Just another Friday night.
That also reminds me, there was a brief period of time in Washington State. We legalized we had an everything but marriage law, so we had legal domestic partnerships for same-sex couples, and then we voted as a state to legalize gay marriage. This was before Obergefell v. Hodges. Just in the state of Washington, we legalized gay marriage. but we didn't repeal the law for domestic partnerships. So there was this loophole that people were talking about of like, Kyle and I could get married, but then we could each still be domestic partners legally with someone else, that you could daisy chain these huge poly communities together by having spouse, domestic partner, spouse, domestic partner, spouse, domestic partner. And then this outstanding question of like, what the fuck do we do if it collapses? Like, how do you, do you have a 6-way divorce? Because that might be what we would have to do.
Yeah, you remove one piece of the chain and the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, but they fixed it. The legislature fixed it. That
Bummer. I actually like that.
Yeah. Okay, we breeze right past the kind of your non-business relationship, like your personal relationship, and kind of what happened that caused the end of that, as much as you want to go into.
Oh no, we're fine.
David's the one who broke up with me, so I'll let him explain.
David.
We were together 10 or 12 years.
12 years.
We were together 12 years. So a long time, and that's why we're still like family, best friends and family. But we were just on different tracks. I very much wanted a family, and Austin, when we got together, made that clear, and we were both always agreed that we were going to have a family eventually.
Yeah, I was saying all the words, but I wasn't doing any of the actions.
And we were never making strides toward that. And around year 10, I'm just like, okay, I think we were like ready to do this, and I kept kind of pushing that, and it was clear that it was never really going to happen.
Pumping the brakes,
so we just wanted
I don't think I knew that I didn't want a family until like we split up, and then I kind of had like a sense of relief. I'm like, oh, I don't have to go through this process that I guess I don't really want to do.
I specifically remember this one day. We were somewhere around Spain touring, and there was a stork flying by. I was like, oh, give me a baby. And then you like did a gunshot and you're like, and like tried to shoot. I said, like, that should have been my red flag.
It should have been my red flag. Like, hello. Like,
I'm like, oh, of course you wanted to kill the stork. I'm like chasing it, and you're trying to shoot it down.
Wow.
Sometimes you don't know what's right in front of your face. But, oh my God.
I didn't.
That's if I write that into a script someday, I'll give you credit. That's a wonderful metaphor for what happened.
Absolutely, I love it.
That sums it up.
How much of this, like, I feel like straight couples might have been more likely to just give in and have a family, or by 10 years you're like, okay, we need to fucking do this. I feel that's just my sense, is that they may have been more likely to dive into something, a family,
I'm sure.
When they didn't want it. Did being gay help this?
No, definitely. I feel like there are so many straight relationships out there where people are just kind of stuck in them and like living this American dream, but they're actually really miserable, right? Like, and it's because of this sort of social construct of marriage, and particularly like monogamy, and you have to like have a family and do this, and if you don't follow that, you're not an outcast, but you're not like seen as part of the social norm. So yeah, absolutely, because we are gay, and we already pronounced to the world like our homosexualness, and we're different, we can kind of do different things. It's sort of just more accepted.
Yeah, I also remember I don't know if you remember this, but when we were breaking up, I remember you texted me once and said, well, what if we did adopt? Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
And I remember that, and I just thought, no, that sounds like a bad idea, because you never add a baby to the picture to fix a relationship. Right. And I think that it really, so being gay, I think played to our advantage, because obviously we could knock each other up, and I think that we don't know, but you may not have been happy had that happened.
I think I would have been. I think I would have had like mixed feelings, right? Yeah. Like I would have, I'm sure, loved my kids and my family, but there would have been this part of me that was like eating me up.
Everything else that you're missing out on.
I'm like,
life.
I just don't. Yeah. There's a part of me that doesn't want to do this. Which I actually think there's just a huge percentage of straight relationships where one of the parents may like be feeling that, but no one ever really talks about it.
And I say thank God that we figured that out before we put kids into the picture.
Well, and I always describe our relationship as like the most successful breakup ever, right? Because like at the end of the day, like we're still best friends. More than friends, we're family. We still run a business together. We hang out. Like we still have a great relationship. So as far as relationships go and breakups go, like they couldn't really get any better. Honest.
So yeah, talk to us about that. Like I have this habit of when I break up, I'm like, I run far away metaphorically. Like I do not answer your texts. We are not hanging out. We are not going to try to be friends. Like I do like a complete cutoff of everything. That is my habit. So what you've done is just baffling to me as it's just so different than how I handle my breakup. So how did you decide to why did you want to continue this, and how did you do it successfully?
Well, I think first it helped us a lot to not have it be. I mean, of course, it was hard that I think the first year was the hardest, but we were together 12 years. The first 6 we were monogamous. The last 6 we were open. I also had a boyfriend in there for about a year where we were poly.
We'll get back to that.
We were very used to, seeing each other with other people. So that part wasn't.
Yeah, we
so...
we never had jealousy at all for the 12 years of our relationship. And we could always sort of talk about the fact that the other person is always going to be attracted to other people. So that was never a question. So I think that made it easier to to see the other person kind of move on and, meet other
we
people.
have always just wanted, I think, the happiness for the other person. Yeah. So that's why I think that helped with the open relationship. I think that helped with the breakup. As long as the other person was happy, I think that was the most important thing.
I also feel like after the breakup or during the breakup and after, there was never a doubt in either of our minds that it wouldn't be like this. And I don't think we ever had to have a conversation are you sure it's okay that we stay in touch and that we don't cut there was no other way for us to do it.
We did, and there was another gay couple that we used to we modeled our breakup after. It was
Matt and Fabrice.
Yes, Matt and Fabrice, and these are 2 colleagues of Austin's, or they work in the same industry, and they're really good friends. And when we were together, we were having dinner with them once, and we would joke afterwards oh, we need to be like them if we ever break up, thinking we were never going to break up. And then we did eventually, and we were okay, that was our model. So we did actually have a nice example. And I think that is often hard in the gay community to have examples of successful relationships or successful breakups, or, there's just maybe not as much.
And they really are kind of the same, right? But 10 years, they did it 10 years earlier because they were together, obviously, but before we met them, and after when we met them, they each had their own, partners, husbands, whatever. The 4 of them would hang out and travel together, and then the 2 exes were still business partners. That's very much like how David and I kind of progressed. And before David broke up with his boyfriend last week, the 4 of us would go and travel and hang out together and all that.
I had heard of conscious uncoupling is how I heard it described when 5 years or so that I kind of knew, but more was friends with this friend. But there was this couple that were married and they were getting divorced, and they had a conscious uncoupling party where they invited
and Coldplay singer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, really? Chris, whatever the fuck.
Martin.
Yes.
I didn't. They had an event. They had invited people out to a bar to have a divorce kind of.
We've talked about having a divorce party.
I think it's great. You should celebrate it. You could make it sad or celebrate it.
Yeah, I do think it's really awesome to sort of decouple the idea that breaking up or ending a romantic relationship equals failure. Because I think that we end up sort of crumpling up and throwing away a lot of really good shit because we're expected to freak out and hate each other and or be super sad and disappointed that we failed somehow. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Especially after 12 years, right? I just look at that as 12 years of success and well done, and then after 12, it wasn't working, so we moved on to the next thing.
I think, especially with straight people and especially with straight guys, the thing you're supposed to do is say, she was a bitch. She was crazy. Yeah. They're things you're supposed to...
Well, she is a bitch.
He pointed at me.
You're supposed to talk about how bad this person was and how horrible they were when, unless it's mine, I feel have ended for bad reasons. That was no, I actually don't want you in my life. But but they don't have, you can still, you're describing, care for, want the best for this person. You don't have to end it because someone's a horrible person. And it's you spent all that time together. Are you sure? That whole time they were just a horrible person and you're just now saying it out? It doesn't make sense that all of a sudden they become a villain.
I just keep hearing horrible person. You really emphasize the whore part.
I have some ex-boyfriends, so
okay.
For me, I think, because I have some that I talk to and some that I don't, and I think the most important thing, for me at least, is was that relationship a healthy relationship, and did we treat each other well? And if we did, then the friendship is possible. But if it was a bad relationship and we didn't treat each other well, then a friendship is going to be much more difficult, and it's probably better that we don't talk. So I've got a balance of both. It's not like I talk to all my exes. It just really depends on how that relationship went down.
Yeah. So let's talk about then moving into business. Or you already had, I mean, you'd already been doing traveling while you were together. You did this like whirlwind year-long trip. So can you talk about like both that and then kind of moving into that side of the business relationship?
2009, we were living in Chicago. We're originally from Phoenix, but we were in Chicago at the time. And I had just started a master's program. And like, I was basically already planning my escape, which was master's program is 2 years. And then my company was paying for the master's, so I had to stay for an extra year. It's basically like, we kind of decided after 3 years, we're leaving Chicago and we were going to move to California. And we were going to take like a short break in between and do some traveling. And then we kind of got this idea of like, well, we don't have to start working right away. Let's like travel for a year. So we saved like a shit ton of money, sold everything we owned, got some like around the world plane tickets that I got through like points and miles and credit card points and shit like that. And went on this like trip for a year. And we started this blog, but basically just to act as a journal, right? To kind of like chronicle our stories of visiting these different places
and keep our family kind of up to date of where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah. So, it was never meant to be a business or anything like that. And
it was a kind of a dream though, a fantasy.
Yeah. We saw like other like professional bloggers and we're like, oh, wow, I guess people are doing that. But we never were like saying we should do that. And then the light bulb went off in my head one time, like maybe 6 months into this trip. Like we had earned 13 cents on a banner ad, like on our website, which I didn't even really know we had banner ads. And I was like, where is this? I'm still waiting for that 13 cents. But I was like, shit, you can actually make money from this. And it took a very, very long time before our blog, Too Bad Tourists, like actually made revenue and became a business. It's probably only been like the past 4 or 5 years or so. But yeah, it started off very unintentionally.
Yeah. So then, so we were working together, we started together, around 2010 then? And then we broke up.
2012.
When did we break
and then we
up?
broke up in 2018.
Yeah. So I think the plan was always to continue it together, really. I mean, I don't think we ever questioned that.
No.
Because, that was, our the only baby we were ever going to have together was our blog.
That's so true. Yeah. That's true.
I'm interested in how you made both while you were together, both the business. How do you keep those things separate? How do you keep business and relationship as separate things? Or did you? Or was it just all part of the one relationship?
Yeah, I guess it was kind of all just mixed up. I would say from like 2013 is probably the time where we really started trying to do something with it from a business standpoint, even though it was just very part-time. And so from 2013 to really until last year, it was part-time. It was only like a few hours every week. We're really only full-time for about the past year. And so, yeah, it was just kind of a mix of like when you have time during the week on a weekend, weeknight, you just write an article or, do a little something here and there. We never really had to separate too much.
It might have been something also, we never really reflected or talked about it, but it might have even been helpful in a way of like we separated our romantic lives, but it was something that, forced us to stay together. Yeah. And we are best friends and we still have love for each other. So it might have been something also that
it is
good for us in that way. It is the baby
we never had.
Yeah. So it is both of our passions. So it was just, very, I think, natural. I think the awkward thing was just because we did advertise ourselves and promote ourselves as like a gay travel couple. So the more difficult thing for us was how do we navigate like we're not together anymore. And so maybe people who are following us kind of like that story. But we just have to be honest and like, this is who we are. This is our story. So, and I think it's also part of the story. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to see two people who are divorced and still friends and still work together.
Bringing it back, do you use the word partners for each other right now?
Business partners.
It was funny. I was just telling David before the show, because we were kind of reviewing the episode topic. And I said, I actually purposely use the word partner in an ambiguous way when I'm talking to people that related to the business or blog that involves David, and I will just call him my partner because I just don't want to get into oh my God, that's so much to unpack. Like, oh yeah, well, we were married for 12 years, but we're divorced, but we're still best friends, but we have this business, but we're together. So I'm just like, oh yeah, David, my partner.
You allow them to assume that we're both romantic and business.
Yeah. And if they ask, they won't be like, well, you said he was your boyfriend. No, I said he was my partner. I meant my business partner. So the ambiguity will kind of like save me so I don't look like an asshole.
But I just sent an email out asking for some information from somebody, one of our colleagues, and I was like, my business partner, Austin. So I used the word partner, but I clarified business just to avoid it.
I pick and choose depending on
yes. Yeah,
how
I
big of a
think
deal
I do the
make
same. I think
Because honestly, people do. If someone just stumbles upon our blog today, right? Like you find our Instagram or our blog page, like we definitely look like a couple. We don't. If you look at our images, we're not like romantic. We're not like kissy or huggy, unless you go back to like 2018. But even then, we weren't like that romantic in our photos. So people probably always assume that we are a couple, and most of the time we have to like kind of come out as broken up. And that happens particularly like we run trips where we invite followers to come on our trips, and they pretty much all assume we're a couple, unless they've listened to like one of our podcasts where we've talked about it or something like that.
It's interesting because it's reminding me of the word queer. Oftentimes people describe not the umbrella term, but like to describe yourself, your sexuality, or your gender. People use that both because they can feel like it fits, and also there is some intentional ambiguity. Like, I don't want to get into like I'm gay but like 5% bisexual, and I'm exploring it, like thinking about the word pan as my orientation, but I'm also like a little bit asexual, so I'm not sure. Like, there's all these things where it's like, you know what,
it's a lot
I'm
to
just
unpack.
queer. Like,
exactly. And I have nothing to hide. It's just sometimes I'm talking to someone and it's just I just need to do something really quick, and I don't want to go there because it's unnecessary.
Yeah. And yeah, straight people kind of like, they get the language and it's theirs, so they get to use it in ways that are like make sense to all of them, and we have to kind of like I don't know, we have to kind of have to conform to them. So like, and they're always like very curious about what every single thing means, you know, like they learn about what top and bottom means, and they're like, oh, tell me who fucks who, and you're like, that's not, like, I don't know, they're just always curious about our language. I feel like it's unfair that they get the language and we have to like mold ourselves around them.
I'm happy with them using partner, though. I mean, I think they need help. They need to take examples from the gay relationships.
The straights are not okay.
So if they're borrowing our examples and our words, please, it'll make all our lives easier if they can get their shit together.
That's true. Is we didn't explicitly talk about that. Oh, you did, Mike. You're annoyed when straight people.
I think that there's some, there are some straight people I think that think they're being cheeky or think they're being supportive when they're really just being vague.
But
like with the word partner specifically?
Yeah.
But are they being supportive? It's like when trans people are like, if everyone uses their pronouns, then it's useful because it doesn't out one person if they use their pronouns. Like, is that the same as partner? If everyone or a lot of people use the word partner, then saying partner doesn't automatically say I'm defo gay.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me feels like they adopted that word that's vague in support of the gay community, but also in support of being closeted. Right? Like what was being normalized was not talking about the gender of the person's partner. And I don't know. I think that there's utility in being out and visible that actually like prohibited or stunted.
You said they're closeting their straightness? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think they're closeting their straightness in an effort to help gay people also be closeted about their gayness in a context where the gender of their partners
doesn't matter somehow.
Yeah, as if it doesn't matter somehow. Yeah.
I think some just also don't want to get married and then don't want to use boyfriend and girlfriend too.
Because it's not a permanent term, right?
Yeah. I also think like that like presupposes that everyone should be out. You know, like that I agree. There's absolutely value in being very visible, but not everyone can, should, wants, needs to be out. So
it's interesting. I know that not everybody can, but I guess part of me thinks everybody should.
I would love it if everyone could.
Yeah.
But I think there are times where it makes sense that you don't want to, don't need to, don't, or maybe can't.
It's like that whole like color blindness thing. Like, I don't see race. That shouldn't be the goal, right? Like right. You should see that there are people of color and that their life experiences are different, and not have that be a bad thing or a judgy thing. Like it should be okay to talk about.
But that's a great vision, a wonderful vision to have. And today, that's not the case. So it makes sense that people would want to stay undisclosed on their orientation.
Yeah, well, especially like in our world, like, you know, globally, 75 plus countries outlaw homosexuality, and over 10 like it's punishable by the death penalty. So, you know, we still sort of live in our North American, Western European bubble, where we have the privilege of being out, but I mean, so much of the world doesn't even have the opportunity unless they want to risk their lives.
Oh yeah, there's definitely places we travel to that we were friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we were friends.
Dubai. Yeah.
We spent a month in Ghana, volunteering at an orphanage, and yeah, we were definitely
friends for a month. Cyber friends.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. I think we covered the partners gamut. Any last words from the two of you before we take a break?
Did we settle anything on it? Did we come to a conclusion? Did we need to?
Who won?
Did we fix the world?
No, girl, we need to reset expectations for our show and what we accomplish here.
Yeah, every week we take a vote from our listeners and say who won, Kyle or Mike, and we'll be posting our typical poll. Go check it out on our Facebook group, I guess. My God, can we? No, that would be mean. I'd be real angry if you won every time.
You can do a poll on Spaces.
Yeah, you can do a poll on Spaces. That's right.
That's true. Oh God. No, we didn't settle anything. We just talked a bunch. Gayish. That's how we roll. Do you want to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break. So are we back?
Oh, are we? Yeah. Yes. Wow. You were genuinely asking. Yes. Sure. We can be back.
We're back.
We have been back.
We're partners in this, Kyle. We can be back when we're both ready to be back.
Okay.
Are you there? Great.
I am back.
Okay, great. We're back.
Okay. We're gonna do our Gayest and Straightest.
We're gonna do our Gayest and Straightest, but first, Two Bad Tourists. Where can people find out more about you, what you're up to, who you are? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, so a couple of places. So you can definitely check out our podcast, which is Queer Travel Chat, so queertravelchat.com. And you can visit our blog and our website, that's twobadtourists.com. And we actually also host gay group trips. So we host trips here in Madrid, in Barcelona. And we also do gay group cruises of this year, the Greek islands, and of Spain and France on Virgin Voyages. So we basically travel out with a group of our followers and readers. So if you want to learn about that, check out our website.
You can come solo or you can come with your partner.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, we actually have a big mix of solo people, less partners.
No, partners are welcome.
Partners are welcome.
However, your business partner, your life partner.
Man,
your lover.
Your lover, your life partner.
Percentage chance I'll get laid if I go on any of those trips. That's the real question.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow.
That's a guarantee.
I'm just trying to sell.
Sell.
I'm going to the Greek islands is like a dream of mine. I've been like very quickly, and I was like, I need to come back. So that's definitely do that if you can.
Take me with you.
Okay, as your partner?
No. Yeah. Oh God. All right. Well, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on socials at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address, Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109.
I mentioned be sure to check our appearance out on Queers in Your Ears. We were on their podcast, so go listen to that. And we will be doing more together as well, so more to look forward to.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you guys on our show. So on February 15th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to invite you guys to our show, Queer Travel Chat, and it's actually a live podcast. So we'll be chatting live, and people can actually call in and download the app and actually even ask questions live. And then on the 16th, we'll publish it live, or publish it as like an actual podcast that you can listen to and download later. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, so definitely check that out if you want to hear us live. No editing.
So you can't.
No editing.
Fuck it up.
Tune in. Yeah, it's
We'll see.
It's live.
We'll see what happens.
Are you sure you want to do that?
I think so.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Listen, I can, and I do edit it. So the live is live. So whoever's listening live gets the whatever is said, gets to hear it all. And then after the fact, I clean it up a little bit. But the live part, yes, is just
listen to both. See what gets cut.
Exactly.
See what Shaggy say gets cut because it was highly inappropriate. We're excited to do that.
We're excited to have you.
Gayest and Straightest?
Yeah, let's do Gayest and Straightest.
I will go first.
Okay, go, Mike.
Okay, great. So the straightest thing about me this week is there's some water damage over my shower in my master bedroom from my upstairs neighbor, and there's just a big old hole, and there's like a diaper kind of like taped over the hole that they put up. It's not an absorbent material, but it's like garbage bag
like a
almost.
pad?
Yeah. Anyway, it keeps falling down. And so the straightest thing about me this week is looking for my duct tape. The fact that I own duct tape is pretty straight, but then also that there's like multiple places in my home where duct tape might live. It just felt very butch.
Yeah, especially keeping some of the structure of your home up like that. Yes.
Duct tape fixes everything too. You should have that everywhere.
Yep.
Absolutely agree. And then the gayest thing about me this week, I on Friday night I went up to Capitol Hill to like entertain myself, but the Uber that I got, I walked up and grabbed the handle to the car door, which was the rear passenger side, like, you know, the door that you get into in an Uber, and staring you right in the face, they had posted a sticker that was a cross made out of the American flag.
Oh no.
And like in a place that was like anybody getting into that Uber was going to see that sticker. Like, this dude needed me to know just how Christian nationalist he was.
Yes.
And my sheer fucking panic. I got in, I didn't move. I just stayed silent. And I was like, thank God I didn't put in a gay bar as my destination, but like a restaurant nearby, because I needed to eat some shit first.
They're driving you to Capitol Hill. Like,
I mean,
obviously,
he's got to be over it. But then I got mad about it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me that like you're an Uber driver and you're going to put that shit in everybody's face? Like, there is no reason for it. It's absolutely offensive and horrible.
Yeah.
So your gayest is your lack of safety and almost getting hate crimed. That's
exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or just the idea that like an American flag cross is like can make my heart rate go higher. I think
that's clearly like, hey, I don't mind Nazis at all. Like, that's definitely what that says for sure.
Kyle, how about you? Gayest or straightest?
My gayest is I was doing this like webinar session. There were a bunch of us in a Zoom call, and I found the hot guy and I pinned him.
Nice.
Oh my God! I was like, I never thought about that before.
I'm listening. But you're pinned, sir. My straightest is I went to our designer that we had for some time, the one that designed our logo, Cody Shipman, has started doing drawing events here in Seattle. So it's one of those go look at a model, try to draw. I'm not good at that stuff, but I signed up with a friend and was going. Everyone there shows up with their like notepad and pencils, and someone was like, you're supposed to bring your own. And I was like, felt like I was in the nightmare of like, you're in class and you're not ready for the test or whatever. Yeah. So my lack of preparation, when all the gays were all prepared and I was the only one that's just like, hey, I'm here. This is fine. My lack of, and then borrowing it from some friends. So that's my straightest.
Austin, David, who wants to go first?
I'll go for it. So my straightest this week, yesterday I buzzed my head, which I feel like is just a very military look.
It looks great.
It looks good.
Rocking that, straight military style, and I'm into it.
Yeah.
And my gayest, last night I watched Benidorm Fest, which is like how Spain chooses their representative for Eurovision. And Eurovision is a super gay singing contest, you probably know. Which will happen in May, which we're going to go watch with our gay group trip in Barcelona. So I watched that last night, and then it was a flamenco singer who won, and she was amazing. So I was like living last night.
Eurovision is perhaps the gayest thing in the world. Like, if I can't pick, is Kylie Minogue gayer? I don't know. I think Eurovision wins as the gayest thing in the world.
Yeah.
1,000%. It's the gays that keep it going, for sure.
Yeah.
Austin, how about you?
My gayest thing this week was when I tweezed my eyebrows. I feel like
we're both done with like grooming, but opposite. Mine was straight grooming, and yours is gay grooming.
And then the straightest thing I did was actually last night. I hung out with one of my friends, brought a couple other friends, and they were two straight guys, and I hung out with them all night. And for me, that's like the straightest thing I ever do, because I live in a gay bubble. I like live in the gay neighborhood in Madrid. My job, our blog is gay. My clients are gay.
Your boyfriend's gay.
My boyfriend's gay. Like, I don't have straight friends, so that was my straightest moment.
Just being around them.
Just being around them at a table.
Did you straighten it up? Like, did you do some straight? Did you like fist bump or call them your bros? Or like...
You know what? They were actually pretty like non-masculine, like overly toxic kind of guys. Okay. They were pretty chill. Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Well, awesome. First, Kyle, thank you. Thank you for being my platonic life business partner and being pretty okay at it.
Oh, thank you. Mike, Thanks for always being ready to dole out lukewarm compliments at a glance. Thank you for being my partner in a non-sexual way that most people believe when we say it 3 times in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are absolutely, totally not sexual, even a little bit.
Well, the way you said
like
it.
partnership.
Yes, but for Realington.
Austin and David, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so
we've
much.
had a great time.
It was a lot of fun. I'm kind of hoping Mike's going to close the show in his like low lawyer daddy voice.
I mean, yeah.
Do you want to close the show? When you look? No, it's not.
Kyle has some other people to thank first.
Oh,
real quick.
yeah. In my cool, sexy voice. Hey, everybody. This is
my
Daddy
God.
Kyle. No, it's not working.
It's a little different.
It's not doing it for me, and I'm like in the middle of it, and I feel trapped. Okay.
It's a little different.
Thank you. To our super gap bridgers, Andrew Bugby, Christopher M., John Crowley, Stephen Porch, Yo Stossel, Harry Shaw, Josh Copeland, Jonathan Montanus, Forrest Nail, Patrick Martin, James Barrow, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Cummington, Just Jamie, Kevin Henderson, Thomas B. Does, Sanzay Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. We appreciate you and your partnership in this
Ooh.
endeavor.
Good segue. That's
Thank
it.
you.
This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, dear listener, be butch, be fabulous, be you. Daddy. Calm down. I'll calm down your ass with my fist. Yeah, I'll fist you right in the ass. That's what I said.
I'm going to fist you
Fist you, but in an angry way, not in a hot way.
right in the anus.
I'm going to give you fissures.
Oh.